What is up, boys and girls? It's your pal right here, the one and only Black Avenger, a.k.a. the Black Azrael, Lee Sanders. And if it's Monday night, you know what that means. It's time for an all-new and live edition of the RCWR show as we are talking WWE Raw Fallout for this Monday night, September 15th, 2014. Thank you all so much for staying up late with us as we're talking all things WWE Raw, as it was the final Raw as the company makes its way to the WWE Night of Champions pay-per-view / special event that's going to be happening this Sunday. If you aren't going to be there in person to catch the event, you got the next best thing. You have the WWE Network, which you can check out in the comfort of your own home. Get some friends together, the works. As always, I want to get you guys involved. Let me know what you had thought about tonight's episode of WWE Raw. You can post those comments down below. You can also take the time out to interact with us on Twitter at the RCWR Show or on Facebook at Infinity One Productions. That's Infinity with an E. Make sure you throw the actual number 1 in there, Infinity One Productions. And that is going to do it. Hey, I don't have my broadcast partner, Titus Machiavelli, with me on this episode. As a matter of fact, he's not going to be with me for this week, it looks like. He's got some prior commitments, which involves him traveling. A lot of traveling he's going to be doing this week, so we wish Titus Machiavelli all the best. He promised me that he'll be back here with me and you all Monday, and we're definitely going to make sure that we dedicate a portion of next Monday's show where he gives his thoughts about the Night of Champions pay-per-view, some other headlines, because there was a lot of stuff that had happened between now and since last we were on the air. I definitely want to pick his brain about one of them being the death of pro wrestler Sean O'Hare. I know Titus goes back as far as checking out the WCW content and all that. So, but no Titus Machiavelli this week. So for some of you guys, you may like that. For others, you may not like that. But I'm going to try to hold the fort down. We're going to do our best to represent over here. So without any further ado, let's go ahead and let's jump right into it. By the way, I got to take the time out before we dive into things to thank you all tremendously for checking out some of our content that we've been putting out, in particular all week long, as there was a couple of really cool snippets that we have put up here on our YouTube channel, which y'all have showed a lot of love to. So I just want to take the time out to thank you all. I've been seeing a number of subscribers that's been coming in. We are so close to 10,000 subscribers. I think we're probably going to hit it before the year is out. So definitely give yourselves a pat on the back. All the ladies that I'm aware of, they love me. They think I'm this nice, cuddly, funny, smart teddy bear and all that they just love. They say I'm handsome, but apparently there are men out there that love me as well. Yes, there are actually men out there. And when I had first showed this message to my girlfriend, she was like, oh my, it's like that? I said, yeah, apparently it's like that. We got to give a shout out to Igor Wright. If you guys are following us on Facebook, then you would have already seen this, and you probably had yourself a nice little chuckle. We're not bashing Igor now, but we just think it's kind of cute, and it's also kind of funny at the same time. Igor had sent yours truly a private message. You can't make this crap up, folks. He goes, and he looks like he might be in his late 20s. I don't know. He goes, Lee Sanders, you are so cute. I can't even pay attention to what you're talking about, man. Handsome. Well, that always makes my day, by the way. Igor, thank you so much for the kind words, man. Really. I appreciate it, and I'm sure my girlfriend appreciates that, but just know, you know, it ain't happening, brother. I don't like strudel. I got to have a big old slice of that pie, okay? Let's get that straight right now. I will not settle for any substitute. Sorry, that's just the way it is, all right? But thank you for those kind words. Oh, God. All right, let's go to the show on that note. Some of you guys are probably going, awkward. What can I say about this episode of Raw that we were given? I have a question with some of the booking for this show. And look, I'm not going to even go into overkill on my thoughts about Raw tonight. I'm going to keep it short and sweet because I want to save a lot of ammo for our radio edition that we're doing for you guys and for a lot of the other stuff that we're going to be doing later this week. I'll give you the programming notes, but I'm not going overkill on Raw tonight. A lot of concern with the booking for some of this show. I liked how things had began as we had John Cena, Paul Heyman. Remember, John Cena, he gave Paul Heyman a week to produce the beast incarnate, Brock Lesnar, put him in front of him because he wanted to have a throwdown with the WWE champion. He wanted to try to build some type of momentum going into his his rematch for the WWE championship at the pay-per-view. And we see Paul Heyman, he tells John Cena, hey, unfortunately, my client legitimately is delayed. He's in a plane. He is having a delay. He'll be here as soon as he can. I promise you. Wasn't good enough for John Cena. Cena tells Paul Heyman, if you are not able to produce Brock Lesnar within 80 to 90 minutes, basically when the show is at its halftime point, then it would be Paul Heyman that would have to answer on behalf of his client, Brock Lesnar. It would basically be Paul Heyman fighting John Cena, and Paul Heyman really was not too keen on that. Now, we actually saw Paul Heyman. He was somehow under the impression maybe he was going to be able to just leave the scene, I guess, but John Cena was already thinking ahead, as John Cena had grabbed Paul Heyman, took him in the backstage area, and locked him in his dressing room, in John Cena's dressing room. He would have Great Khali basically be a doorman, if you will, to make sure that nobody tried to help Paul Heyman escape the arena. Yeah, was I the only one that kind of had a little bit of a chuckle at one point, as off and on throughout the night, when we do go in on Paul Heyman, somehow a camera was able to get in there as we see Paul Heyman. He's frantically trying to make a phone call to Brock to get him out of this jam. I'm saying to myself, well, damn, Great Khali has already failed his task of making sure that nobody gets in the locker room to see Paul Heyman, because not once but like 2-3 times camera people were allowed to go in there. So it's kind of like, what the hell is up right here? Now, let's talk about that halftime point. That halftime point, we would see John Cena go to that locker room, grab Paul Heyman, bring him on out, and he was ready to put a hurting on Paul Heyman, but Heyman told him, yeah, go ahead, give into that dark side. To follow up on what Heyman told Cena last week, he basically wanted him to give into the evil side, because it's by tapping into that will he only be able to defeat Brock Lesnar and become the WWE champion again. Unless he caves into that dark side that he's been having bottled up for a good minute now, he's just not going to be able to defeat Brock Lesnar without it. So, a couple of times we kind of see John Cena almost kind of cross that line with some of the things that John Cena was hearing from Heyman. Heyman at one point saying, come on over, come on. I want to make you a Paul Heyman guy. And we saw John Cena, he finally caved and told him, unfortunately, he was really under the impression he was going to be able to fight Brock Lesnar, and that Paul Heyman at one point, as he was spewing a whole bunch of hot garbage, good garbage at that, Cena did reveal that he was aware that Brock Lesnar was not there, but that he hoped he would get there in time because he wanted to fight him and not Paul Heyman. So we actually saw Cena leave Heyman alone. Heyman, quick witty comeback, bringing up Cena's mom, saying how he applauds him and mom raised him right, but wonders if his son would have testicles or whatever, that testicular fortitude, or however the hell they pronounce it. Grapefruits, damn it, grapefruits. Well, this was fighting words for John Cena. He actually got physical with Paul Heyman. When, cue the music of Brock Lesnar, if we're going to have this whole thing go down where certain people, they're stuck in traffic, there's a delay, and there's all this other silly crap that's going on. It would really be nice if we could just see somebody come out. They don't need to have their entrance music playing. They don't need to have their images on the Titantron playing. They don't need no pyro. All right, just let them run out. Everybody will be able to figure out who it is, right? Commentators will hook up the people watching at home. It's like, do we really need to have the music? It just really, my whole thing is I just want it to come off more organic. I want it to come off more natural and not just, oh, okay, because I mean, I'm just thinking about it in my head right here from that almost realistic standpoint, since WWE kind of wants to dub themselves the reality era or whatever, or at least that's the way it's being dubbed on their behalf right now by a lot of the WWE fans. If we're going to go with this whole reality era thing, I mean, put a little bit of realism into it, man. I mean, let me just feel me on this. Like, you are a manager representing a client, or you're the client, right? And you see that your manager is about to get the tar beaten out of him. Are you really going to take 5 minutes to say to the monkeys in the back, hey, you got my music ready to go? You got my pyros and all that? Okay, well, go ahead, cue it up, because I'm getting ready to come. No, you're just going to be like, okay, let's go. There's a sense of urgency and all, and I just kind of wish that we kind of had that going on for Brock Lesnar. You know, I don't know. Maybe I'm kind of nitpicking that a little bit. It could be just me, but that's the way I felt with regards to that. We saw a little bit of a tease go down between Brock Lesnar, John Cena. Looked as though they were going to be fighting, but they just kept teasing it. Finally, it actually did go down. Brock Lesnar getting the upper hand, doing a German suplex off the break, sending John Cena rolling outside of the ring. Brock Lesnar thought he was done with the C Nation leader. Cena wanted some more, man. He actually had got the upper hand on the next go-round. It took about at least 10, 15 security guards to break those two guys up. Nice, strong way to build up their match going into the Night of Champions pay-per-view. Like the way that they were booked right there. Thank those of you that's checking us out right now. You're checking out your host right here, Lee Sanders. Checking out an all-new RCWR show live this Monday night, September 15th, 2014. Interact with us as always. Get those comments down below, because we're definitely going to dedicate a portion of the show towards the end to you all. Get you all's thoughts on what you might have liked or disliked about tonight's WWE Raw product. As always, you can spread the good word about our content by Google Plusing, Facebooking, retweeting. And also make sure you give this a thumbs up. Heads up, by the way, I see before we went live, we actually had got like 2 dislikes. You guys should know by now, and I don't know, maybe you guys are new, some of you all, but we always come on at 11:10 p.m. Eastern, or as soon as Raw goes off the air. So if you see that we put the link out a little early, and you're hoping that maybe you're going to see something, unfortunately, that's not how we roll. So before you get trigger finger happy pushing the dislike button, at least wait until we've been on for like 5 minutes, you see me in the flesh, and then, hey, if you're not feeling what we're doing, you can go ahead and do the dislike then, and maybe you can leave a comment offering constructive criticism. But I've just been noticing the past couple of times we've had a few people who, and I don't know if it's maybe somebody that's subscribed to us, but I've been noticing past couple of weeks now, somebody just dislikes, and we aren't even live yet. I'm definitely going to work on seeing if I can create some type of a unique thumbnail to that let those of you know exactly what time we're going to be coming on, in case you don't read the comments at the bottom, because we always offer a comment as soon as you land on the video underneath that we're coming on at 11:10 or as soon as Raw goes off. I don't know, I just thought that was kind of weird. Then again, honestly, from, you know, some of my buddies I've been talking to that are also doing this as well, there's just some people that just don't like competition, man. That's what it is. But let's continue on. Let's talk about Fallout from tonight's WWE Raw. So I had no problem with the way the whole John Cena Brock Lesnar segment had played about. Solid matches that we saw on tonight's episode. We saw Chris Jericho defeat Corporate Kane, or some as you were saying throughout the night, Malibu Kane, Scuba Diver Kane. I can't believe that show was already pulled, by the way, just off of one episode. I'm a little bit heartbroken by that. I hope that we have not seen the last of that series, because I thought they were on to something right there. Maybe it was a little too close to home for some people involved, but yeah, in either case, a decent quality of a match between Chris Jericho, Corporate Kane, Jericho picking up the victory over Kane. I gotta tell you, man, Kane, almost 50. He's still able to go in there and throw it down. You also got to give Jericho props, as Jericho is making his way to the Night of Champions pay-per-view. He's going to be taking on the Viper, Randy Orton. We also saw a new commercial for $9.99. Yes, $9.99 now has its own commercial. Kind of seems like maybe Fall Out Boy did the music or whatever. It's irritating as hell, but it's kind of catchy after the first couple of times you see it. I will admit that. It's a nice little catchy little hook that they got attached to it. See. Jack Swagger, he defeated Bo Dallas. If I'm not mistaken, because I haven't seen that much SmackDown over the last 2 weeks, I just got to catch up on 2 episodes I missed. I believe this was the first time that Swagger and Bo Dallas had collided. Swagger made Bo Dallas tap out to that Patriot lock. Brie and AJ Lee, they lost to Paige and Nikki Bella. I love it when we get our Divas matches, but I must admit this was actually one Divas match I found myself having a hard time getting into, and I think it's mainly because this particular match, it just really came off as if, as far as wrestling goes, that was a bit more downplayed. I don't know if you guys would agree with me on that, but that's just the vibe I was honestly getting from it. I'm trying to keep in mind of the storyline that's been playing out within recent weeks between the Bella Twins, and then I'm also trying to keep in mind what's been going on with AJ Lee and Paige. And honestly, whether some of you guys like it or not, Paige, AJ Lee, unfortunately, they had to be thrown into the Bellas program, because the way it's just looking right now, the Bellas aren't really able to do it on their own. They need that supporting cast. I mean, we saw Stephanie McMahon pretty much get the gears in motion and all that. We've seen Jerry Springer get in there. We've seen the Bella Twins parents and brother get involved in there. There's a lot of supporting cast in this trying to help get these girls over. And, it's unfortunate, because honestly, I was expecting for these girls to be in a position by now where they could definitely engage on a program without any help, without need of a supporting cast. Now, I don't want to sound like I'm contradicting myself as I'm saying this, because if you've been checking this out for a long time, you guys know way back when there was a part of me that was encouraging for a Bella versus Bella program surrounded by the Divas Championship. I even said one Bella needs to turn on another, and my original vision was it will culminate at a WrestleMania. Well, unfortunately, it didn't play out that way, but the way things have been going as of late between these girls, Nikki, character-wise, she's coming into her own nicely, but it seems like whatever she was able to gain 2 weeks ago when she did that segment with Jerry Lawler, I mean, she was just saying all kinds of great heelish stuff. I mean, she was on point 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago. It just seems like she's kind of lost that mojo. She's lost that swagger a little bit. Meanwhile, Brie continues to struggle to come into her own as an on-screen character. And I just feel that Paige and AJ Lee are suffering as a result of being involved in this, as we now are going to have a triple threat match between both Bellas. And actually, no, correction, if I'm not mistaken, I believe, because I got my notes right here. Let me actually pull it up. No, it's actually going to be Paige defending her championship against AJ Lee and Nikki Bella. So, I'm looking at that match, and if I were to just give an early call that match prediction right now, it would make sense for Brie to interfere in this match to make sure that Nikki doesn't become the Divas champion, because, after all, you go back to SummerSlam, Brie had lost to Stephanie McMahon as a result of Nikki Bella turning on her, interfering in the match and all that. So, I mean, one good turn deserves another, right? I mean, just an early projection that I'm giving out right there, which would thus possibly set up a Bella versus Bella match, depending on how far along these girls are able to go with each opportunity they're given to shine in a segment. But I just really felt the tag match was just a little bit off tonight. It really did not feel like a tag match. It just felt like watching 5 minutes of a spot here, a spot there. Very hard to get into. I don't know if you guys would agree or disagree with that. I just hope that Paige, AJ Lee, they break away from this soon, because I really don't feel that they're needed for this. Not unless you're going to put the championship on Nikki, and then you have each one of those divas chase after her that way. Could that happen at Night of Champions? We'll talk a little bit more about Night of Champions as far as predictions go later on in the show. I'll give you guys a quick programming note on how you can check that out. Big Show, he picked up a victory over Bray Wyatt via disqualification. Boy, I tell you, it was like watching two big bulls go at it tonight with regards to those two guys. Big Show, I guess they're trying to find something for him to do, man. They're trying to, figure out where they can place him and all that. But this program that he did with Bray Wyatt tonight, it was on point. We actually saw Big Show win by a disqualification as a result of Luke Harper, Eric Rowan interfering on behalf of Bray Wyatt. No doubt, this is, if they do it right, it's actually it can stretch out a couple of weeks, and you can have Big Show take on all three of those guys in one-on-one matches. You can stretch it out on Main Event. You can stretch it out on SmackDown. Hell, if you want to, you can even do a little something on NXT if you want it, just to put a little bit of exposure as far as the veterans coming through on there. It'd be kind of cool. Stardust, Goldust with Cesaro. They lost to Sheamus and the Usos. That was actually a very solid six-man tag team match. When I think about the matches overall, by the way, I actually got to give props to that tag match and also Jericho versus Corporate Kane. If you're keeping track so far, in grand total, we had like 8 matches. I would definitely have to give the nod to those two. Some of you guys are probably screaming at this point, what about Seth Rollins taking on Roman Reigns? My opinion about that match is going to be probably drastically different from what you feel with regards to that match. Cameron taking on Naomi. What can I say about this? As soon as I saw Cameron and she had her little mirror and she's just looking at herself and all that, I just couldn't help but think of Mr. Wonderful Paul Orndorff, and I just couldn't help but put that on mute as she was looking at herself in the mirror, and I actually queued up Mr. Wonderful's music. It's like, wonderful! They call him Mr. Wonderful! You know he is so wonderful, and he knows it too. I just couldn't help but kind of go that route with regards to that, because I'm like saying to myself, hey, Cameron, Paul Orndorff called. He wants his freaking mirror back, Come on, let's wrestle already. Decent match between those two girls. I actually preferred this Diva match more so than the Diva match that we got earlier in the night. I mean, these girls actually went out there and they tried to put on a freaking match. I love what these girls had did more. Who won the match? I need help from you guys because I was actually doing a lot of multitasking. I caught all but like maybe the last 60 seconds of the match. But that one was a good match. You know how it is for me, unfortunately, on Monday nights. I got to do a lot of multitasking, talking to you guys on social media. Shout out to those of you, by the way, who I was chatting it up with, and I'm trying to get the show ready to go and all that for you guys. So post those comments down below. Let me know who had won that match. And I'll definitely, if I get it in time, I'll go back and I'll let you know the winner for that one. Miz, Sandow, they lost to Dolph Ziggler. R-Truth. R-Truth, well, he came out looking like a black version of Dolph Ziggler. Literally. I mean, he had the tights. Hair was kind of similar. Had the shirt. Did his little butt dance just like Dolph Ziggler. And at one point, we hear Jerry Lawler. He says something along the lines of, there's no way R-Truth can be a double for Dolph Ziggler or something to that effect. And the question was asked, why? And I'm kind of kicking back. I'm just like, yeah, Jerry, why? Is it because he's black? You know, and you know, you can't have a black stunt double. Come on now, anything can happen. But that was actually a damn good match, damn good tag match between both of those teams. Dolph Ziggler, man, I'm telling you, I'm glad WWE has come around to Ziggler this go around. It kind of seems like they're finally starting to warm up to him again. I love that. He looked superb tonight. Even though it was a tag match, he shined the brightest in that. Sandow as well. I definitely got to make sure I give props to Sandow. You know, I love what they're doing with R-Truth, though. I hope this wasn't a one-shot deal. I hope that this is something that's going to continue on for the weeks to come because, you know, I think it's awesome, quite honestly. If you're noticing a little bit of a trend right here, and I don't know if you guys really homed in on this, but so far, the African Americans, the wrestlers, they're kind of getting nice little good spots on this episode tonight throughout the course of the 3 hours. They're kind of like almost, you could almost say like with regards to the second hour going into the third hour, you got the African Americans really stepping up to the plate right here. And I say that for a very good reason with regards to the way Raw had ended. I'll talk about that in a little bit. Hope you guys are enjoying our show so far. If you are, make sure you continue to post those comments down below. You can also give this piece a thumbs up. Share Google+, Facebook, retweet it. One of the many ways you can spread a good word about our content. We are on Twitter for y'all to follow. Hit us up at the RCWR Show, all right? Facebook at Infinity One Productions. Let's continue on with the talk of fallout from Raw. All right, so Roman Reigns taking on Seth Rollins. You know, I said to myself as I was watching this match, it's going to be good, but don't expect a winner because these guys are colliding. Look for some type of interference. Maybe Kane is going to try to help out Seth Rollins, something to that effect. I was a little bit perplexed that we didn't see a backstage segment with Seth Rollins talking to Kane and saying, hey, I'm going out here later tonight. Push come to shove, you going to have my back? And Kane goes, yeah, I'll have your back as long as you have mine or whatever. I was kind of expecting something along those lines. It didn't happen. I said to myself, okay, that's fine. We're probably going to see some type of interference or whatever. Maybe Seth is going to try to settle for a DQ or a count out or whatever. Let's see what happens. Great match. But WTF, man, what was up with the booking? You have Roman Reigns defeat Seth Rollins soundly, cleanly, in the middle of the ring, right? And you're saying to yourself, as all this is happening, you're saying to yourself, oh, gee, we got Roman Reigns taking on Seth Rollins at the pay-per-view this weekend. So for me, the booking on this one was so freaking off. I don't know who the hell wrote this episode of Raw as far as the match finishes go, but that was like a huge fumble. Okay, you normally do not do stuff like that. I mean, maybe the times are changing. Maybe there just is not a care in the world now to that little fine thing called detail, folks. Because for me, growing up on all the decades I've been able to grow up on wrestling, which is like practically like, my God, almost 2 decades, I've never seen a match just play out the way that this one played out. I mean, usually you do a 1-2-3 victory clean in the middle of the ring when pretty much it's like, this is it. Win, lose, or draw. This is it. This is the final face-off between these two guys going at it, because they've been going at it for a couple of months now. This person got one, this person got one, then this person got one, and this person got one back. Okay, so now we're pretty much deadlock. We're at that rubber match. Never before, never again. Win, lose, or draw. Whoever gets the win, that's it. We'll probably never see these guys fight one another again. And usually when you hear that, they'll eventually get back around to those two guys fighting again. They might give it a nice little break for a year, maybe 2 years if you're lucky, right? But no, none of that. Now, Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins, that program has been teased off and on for the past several weeks. But here we are, Monday Night Raw. It's supposed to be a pay-per-view match that we get this Sunday, but we're getting a preview. We're getting it for free as these two guys go at it. I'm expecting a damn DQ so that both of these guys can still respectively look strong, but it does not happen. Very disappointing. Very disappointing. I don't know. Maybe I'm nitpicking here tonight. Some of you might not be feeling me on that, but that's where I stand. I'm curious what you guys thought about that match, because after I saw that go down, now I'm automatically saying to myself, well, my God, you can't have the Roman Empire be 2-0 over Seth Rollins. You got to have Roman Reigns now lose to Seth Rollins this Sunday, right? I mean, right? Makes you wonder, man. Makes you wonder. Final segment of Raw tonight. Ended on a good note. When was the last time you guys recall an African American closing out Raw? You might have to go back a little bit in your brain. You may have to go as far back as when R-Truth had the whole psycho spider gimmick going on, and he was getting ready to take on John Cena at Capital Punishment for the WWE Championship. Little trivia for you guys, if you can remember the year that went down, let me know. I'll give you a nod if you can. No cheating now. Or you can go a little bit further than that. You might have to go as far back as possibly 2007, when Bobby Lashley was the ECW champion, and then he lost it to, I think it was Vince McMahon, and they were feuding over the ECW championship for a little bit. So a lot of the times you basically had ECW in with Bobby Lashley or whatever, and not to mention when he went over to SmackDown for a little bit. I don't really recall him closing out Raw. But the point that I'm making is it's been a good minute since we've seen an African American close out Raw. And Mark Henry was the one to close out the show tonight, as it was basically a Rally of the USA segment, is pretty much how they dubbed it. Mark Henry coming in there and trying to get the WWE Universe and all Americans on his side to basically give him the necessary strength that he needs to take on Alexander Rusev. And, you know, on the one hand, I love the fact that Mark Henry was involved on an episode of Raw where he basically closed out the show. On the one hand, I love that. That was awesome right there. You know, now that I'm thinking about it, Didn't Mark Henry close out another segment of Raw not too long ago when it came to his retirement? And he wore a hot pink outfit, and he did the World's Strongest Slam to John Cena. Wasn't that a closing segment for Raw? If so, Henry's on a hell of a good streak right now as far as closing out Raw within recent years. But, on one hand, I was happy with the fact that here's Mark Henry, an African American, closing out the show, doesn't have a championship belt or anything, and he's been given the task of closing out the show. I said, okay, this is kind of awesome. This is nice. On the flip side to it, I couldn't help but look at this segment and go, okay, shouldn't we be getting this like maybe to kick off the second hour of Raw or maybe the third hour? Why are we like getting this? This doesn't make any sense. Why are we closing out with this? Shouldn't the last burning image be Night of Champions? You got to get it. Get the WWE Network. So I kind of couldn't help but go back to what we had saw with Seth Rollins, Roman Reigns. I'm saying, well, maybe it should have closed with that, but maybe that match should have ended in a way where we did see interference from Kane, and Roman Reigns is just basically laid out by the Authority or whatnot. Or maybe it should have ended with John Cena, Brock Lesnar. I just really had a hard time stomaching the way that Raw was closing out with Rusev and Henry. No disrespect to Henry. Rusev, it just really feels like this is something that's being forced down the viewers' throats. And it's unfortunate because, honestly, I think there's a majority of fans that really do not care about this Alexander Rusev character. And if anything, they would rather see a NXT guy or two or three be in that spot instead of him. So, I mean, on the one hand, I was happy for Mark Henry, but then on the other hand, I felt that the segment was a little bit too dragging. It kind of felt like it really wasn't going anywhere. Although I think it ended strong because, like, the first several minutes, it was definitely kind of flatlining a little bit. But once you started getting to the physicality, that's when it started to pick up, especially when Rusev tried to apply his finisher and the camel clutch, when he was trying to do the camel clutch. And Mark Henry, you're saying to yourself, well, if this guy is like used to be the world's strongest man, he should be able to kick out of this, right? He's got like these huge freaking arms. He should be able to strong arm his way out of this camel clutch, right? And sure enough, that's exactly what happened. And he just started owning Alexander Rusev after that. Gave him a nice, good sit down power bomb and all that. I thought that was pretty awesome. I mean, great way for Raw to end. Glad that it ended on a strong note, but my questioning for that segment placement is the only thing. Raw kind of did the job. They kind of highlighted Night of Champions fairly well, which, by the way, if you haven't checked out the card yet, I mean, on paper, it looks like it's going to be fantastic. I mean, quick rundown here. We got Roman Reigns taking on Seth Rollins based on the events that happened tonight. By default, that makes their next matchup a very interesting one. Are we finally going to see a little bit of a speed bump in the Roman Empire in the form of him losing to Seth Rollins, or is something else going to happen? Is Dean Ambrose maybe going to return? Who knows? Jericho will be taking on Randy Orton. All indications are signaling that after Night of Champions, that's going to be it for Chris Jericho, as he's going to be preparing to go on the road with Fozzy. He's also going to be getting ready to promote his new book. Usos will be defending their tag championships against Gold and Stardust. Mark Henry takes on Rusev. Way it's looking right now, that's going to be a regular match. Earlier, we told you about Paige defending her title against AJ Lee, Nikki Bella. Dolph Ziggler will be taking on Miz for the Intercontinental Championship. Meanwhile, Sheamus defends against Sheamus for the United States Championship. Main event match, Brock Lesnar defends his WWE World Heavyweight Championship against John Cena. Of course, the card is subject to change. Speaking of Night of Champions, way it's looking right now, probably, I'm going to say maybe Friday or maybe Saturday. Just follow us on Twitter and Facebook. We'll let you know. But we're going to do a live Call That Match edition covering Night of Champions. I'll offer my thoughts on who I think is going to be walking away victorious from that pay-per-view event. So make sure you join us for that. And, of course, we're going to have the Night of Champions post-show. You'll be able to catch that right here on YouTube. Join us probably 10:50 p.m. Eastern, or as soon as the pay-per-view goes off the air. We'll be coming on. We'll talk about the pay-per-view, cover Fallout, review it. We'll also include you all's interactions, see what y'all had thought about the pay-per-view. Heads up, there were a couple of you guys that had entered our WrestleMania 30 contest earlier in the year. Now, to that one person that has their WWE video game on the way, this doesn't apply to you because you've already initiated contact, all right? Vince Burr, you need to make sure you get in contact with us because we need to make sure that you're still interested in that grand prize package. Third place winner, Peter, we tried to contact you 2 weeks ago via the email address that you gave us. We said to you that you had 1 week to let us know if you were still interested in your prize package. Otherwise, we would consider it to be non-valid. Unfortunately, you did not reply to us in time, so therefore automatic forfeit. So it looks like your prize is going to be going to another person. Check your email if you don't believe us, but we did try to contact you almost 2 weeks ago. We sent you an email there. But Vince Burr, you need to contact us ASAP. Let us know if you're still interested in your grand prize package. On that note, let's go ahead. Let's get to you guys' comments. Let's see what you all had to say. Hope you guys been enjoying the show so far. Feels like it's a short show tonight. Actually, I'm looking at the counter meter right now. We actually did pretty good. I'm looking at 41 minutes and 42 seconds. We did pretty good tonight. Let's take a look at the comments that we got right here. Decent amount of comments coming in right here. Well, I'll spend a couple of minutes. If I don't get to your comments, I got you guys sometime tomorrow. I love responding to you guys first thing in the morning as I'm on my way to work here. Sean, I feel like the WWE crowd needs to get more hyped. The crowd seemed boring. You know what it is, Sean? And I've been to enough WWE events to see this, and I don't know if maybe some of you all that have been to WWE events can back me up on this, but like each time I go to see a WWE event at the Verizon Center, right, their energy, it is there. I mean, as we're waiting for the gates to open and we're trying to go claim our seats, go grab some grub and all that, get ready for the show, before all that happens, I mean, there are like chants coming left and right, and everybody gets involved. It's so energetic. Then when you go get your seats, you've had that food, you've had those drinks, you're kind of like, okay. Hey, it's Roman Reigns. Oh, woo, woo, woo. You know, I'm telling you, man, the combination of what they do before they get to those seats is probably what's draining the hell out of them. Lord knows those $15 French fries and chicken tenders and a big old 11-ounce cup of beer doesn't really help. Ramon, doesn't feel like WWE is pouring enough gasoline on the Cesaro versus Sheamus feud. I actually keep forgetting that they are feuding and that this is for the United States belt. Our Ziggler thing was cute for one night, but way too damn silly a second time around. Reigns versus Rollins was okay, but you can easily tell that these two blow the roof off if they are put in a pay-per-view environment. Reggie, not a bad segment. Mark Henry and Rusev. Maybe the only person who is looking forward to the Rusev and Henry match. WWE is overdoing the whole $9.99 deal for their network. Randall, shout out to you. Naomi won the match with some messed up looking leg submission hold. All right, so again, Naomi was the one that won the match. Credit Randall for that. Randall, thank you. Weston, good Raw. I give it a 6 out of 10. And guess what? I'm a John Cena hater, and I even enjoy the Paul Heyman John Cena segments. All right. Jamie, I felt Raw didn't really sell the go-home show for Night of Champions. I will still watch the pay-per-view, though. Very surprised that it was Mark Henry and Rusev to end the show, not Brock Lesnar and Cena. Really enjoyed the Cena and Brock segment tonight. Chris Jericho and Kane was shockingly very good. Same goes for the main event match. Question, do you think Cena will beat Ric Flair's 16 world title streak, or will Cena not surpass Ric Flair's record? I'm going to take a rain check on answering that question, but I will answer that question on our radio edition of the RCWR show, which you guys can catch this Tuesday night, live only on Spreaker. I'll go in depth on that question. We'll also get you guys hooked up on the very latest in wrestling and entertainment headlines. We got a special RCWR show spotlight on Kanye West, who is without a doubt pissing off people with severe disability. Well, I'll give you the 411 on that, and also chime in my thoughts on the matter. Join us for that, though. It's going to be pretty good. We're also going to have a special RCWR show spotlight on U2 and the recent marketing strategy they used to promote their new album, Songs of Innocence, which we did review here. It's available not only in live web show format, but also audio only for you U2 fans out there. Go check that out. But I'll chime my thoughts on their marketing campaign, because the way it's looking right now, there's a lot of people upset with the strategy that was used to promote this album. As one person described it, waking up, opening up your iTunes library to find a new U2 album there is like waking up and discovering a pimple. Jock, it's too early, but who are on your list of guys who will go into the WWE Hall of Fame next year? You're right. It is too early. I'm not ready to say just yet. I will probably make a mental note and talk about it maybe mid or late November. That'll be the earliest that I'll talk about it. Hashtag what happened to Emma? Well, if you're lucky, main event, NXT. I think she's done some SmackDowns, but I've seen her pop up on main event a few times, Joker. Great Baduni. Was Lawler going heel in the stunt doubles match? Could come off that way. Liu Kang. Hey Lee, Naomi won the match, right? Enjoyed John Cena, Paul Heyman segments, and I like how my guy Cena whooped Lesnar's ass. Their match at Night of Champions is going to be good, and I also love my guy Mark Henry owning Rusev tonight. I definitely think Mark Henry is going to be the guy to finally end Rusev's streak. But Lee, on last week's episode of SmackDown, we got introduced to Dolph Ziggler and R-Truth. They made R-Truth become Dolph's stunt double to compete with Miz and Sandow, but I actually enjoy tonight's show. Have a good night, Lee. Thank you, Luke Kang. You too. Let's see what else we got here. Who you think will win, Cena or Brock? That comes from David. Well, everybody else can respond to David, so have at it. I'm not going to be giving my predictions until later this week. Anthony, what are they going to do with Bray Wyatt? Who is he facing at Night of Champions? Big Show? Laugh out loud. Be careful. You might have just jinxed him. Weston, I have no idea how this American versus Russia storyline is getting over. Sometimes I think I'm in 1985 and Mark Henry needs to turn heel when he's done with this feud. We got like 5 people reminding me and everybody else who won that match. I love that. Thank you guys. We appreciate it. Matthew, Bellas wouldn't be in the WWE if it weren't for the two. They're dating. Probably a true fact. You just very well might be on to something, my friend. Matthew would go on to say, quality show as always. That ending was awful. I thought they'd scrap it and end the show with Rollins and Reigns. But hey ho, creative needed a reshuffle or a new team entirely. Raw has been lacking for a month. And once again, something that we make sure we need to heighten. No appearance by Stephanie McMahon. No appearance by Triple H. Very interesting right there. Manuel, nice pipes, Lee, on that wonderful tribute to Mr. Wonderful. Thank you. It looks like WWE didn't even try with tonight's episode of Raw. It was okay. This crowd, oh boy, dead. Can't blame them. I guess WWE figured, why bother? NFL football, hell of a game tonight, Lee. Yeah, I'm hoping they're doing another double header. I like to actually check out some football before I call it a night. We got to everybody's comments, it looks like, for now. If I didn't get to your comments, have no fear. I will respond to you. If not before I retire for tonight, I'll definitely respond to every single one of you all in the morning. Yes, Lotion. That's a hell of a unique name. Your name is Lotion Den. I'm not going to touch that one. Literally, I'm not going to touch that. Raw sucked. I kind of agree with you, man. Matter of fact, I will agree with you to a certain extent. Let me just look at the card again here. I'm not going to try to justify, as some of you guys try to say, Lee, don't try to justify. Let's be for real. We had 8 matches, right? Jericho, Corporate Kane, that was actually good. Roman versus Seth was good till they did the lame-ass finish. I don't care what anybody says. That was a lame-ass finish they did. They shouldn't have ended it the way that they did. Sandow, Miz taking on Truth, Ziggler, that was actually good. Stardust, Goldust with Cesaro taking on Sheamus and the Usos was another one. And honorable mention goes to Cameron and Naomi. So, I mean, I just named 1, 2, 3, I named like 5 matches out of the 8 that was on point. Raw gets a pass this week. I mean, if you want me to bring back the number scale for a moment, average 7 out of 10. But I'll give it a pass, bottom line, for this week. Let's see here. Your radio show, I can't locate it. That's why we have a beautiful thing, Jason, called links in the episode description. If you check us out via laptop, tablet, desktop, all you gotta do is just scroll at the bottom. You see all the links. If you don't have that capability, you can do a Bing, Google search, the RCWR show, and like we just pop up all over the place. All right, so once again, we've got the radio edition of the RCWR show. You'll be able to catch that 10 p.m. Eastern on Spreaker. We're going to go in depth on some wrestling headlines. We'll also cover some entertainment headlines. Remember, we got the RCWR show spotlight on Kanye West, as he has become public enemy number 1 to people with severe disabilities. We'll give you the 411 on that. What a dick. That's all I got to say with regards to Kanye West. We'll also do a RCWR show spotlight on, can't think of the person's name right now, but to the person that said the thing about John Cena surpassing Ric Flair. We'll go in depth on that. I'll offer my thoughts on that. Remember, we'll also be talking about the U2 Songs of Innocence album controversy. A lot more stuff that we'll be talking about on there. I'm going to be chatting it up with somebody that was part of the WWF Attitude Era. This week it's looking, I can't say the name right now. I got to keep it on the hush. Do not send me a private message and ask me who it is, because I'm going to ignore it. I'm not going to respond to you. But this is going to be, if it plays out right, I was actually supposed to chat with them last week. Unfortunately, they had an emergency come up, so I wasn't able to sit them in chat. They're telling me, as we've already planned out a day and a time this week, and they're telling me that their schedule's cleared, no distractions, nothing. They're going to be able to do this with me. If I'm able to do it, I'm hoping that Wednesday night we'll actually have that interview be available exclusively here on YouTube for you guys to check out. You'll be able to see me and this person in the flesh talking with one another. It's going to be really awesome. And you TNA wrestling fans, of course, we got Impact Showdown. You'll be able to catch that at 11 p.m. Eastern right here on YouTube. All right, we got great episodes for y'all to check out on the downloads. We're on iTunes, iHeartRadio, Blog Talk, Stitcher. We're all over the place. Use the keywords, the RCWR show. It's that easy. All right, check out all the links in the description. That's going to do it. One more time, if you enjoyed this, make sure you go out of your way, give it a thumbs up, share it. You can Google+, Facebook, retweet it. One of the many ways you can spread the good word about us and our content. If you have not subscribed, what are you waiting for? Hit that subscribe button right now so you never miss out on what we do for you here on a regular and weekly basis. And on that note, show is over. Wish all y'all to be safe, be kind to one another. See you next go round, everybody. Take care.